Welcome to What's a Beautiful Life Anyway? I'm your host, Jill Bennett. This is the channel that shares ideas to help you live your best life, because life can be beautiful if you live consciously. Welcome to episode 50 of What's a Beautiful Life Anyway? Sally Inkster. I find that really hard to say, Sally. I'm sorry, I don't know why. I think it's a really cool name, but I find it hard to say. So Sally is on a mission to help new or struggling business owners find a way to ditch the misconception that branding is nice and put it as a core part of their business growth strategy. Once they recognize this and embrace it, their confidence and message will grow. Sally specialises in guiding people looking to transition from the corporate world to their own thriving businesses. She helps them build a strong personal brand. Now, Sally promises that by engaging with what she teaches, you will first establish a compelling personal brand that will put you on the path to entrepreneurial success, help you find the work-life balance you desire, and enable you to create a thriving business aligned with your brand and values. Today, we want to focus on more about a work-life balance, what it is and how to get it so that we can live a happy and a beautiful life. Hi, Sally.
Hello, it's lovely to be here and congratulations on 50.
I know.
I know. I looked at some statistics and apparently most people who start podcasts fail below 10. They do 3 to 5 usually and then give up. So you have done incredibly well. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. It is a commitment. And when I first started, I did one a week for probably the first 26, 27 episodes. And since then, they're a bit more intermittent because it is such a huge commitment to do. But it's good fun as well. Let me just say before we start that Sally looks beautiful there. Her jumper, her backdrop, she just looks incredible. So you certainly, you do walk the talk. You just look amazing. And I feel really drab next door to you. I need to up my game, I think.
I think you've done it just to make me look good. I think that's, so thank you.
No, you look wonderful. And I love that coral colour. It's really,
I know, it's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. Orange is my favourite colour. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I love orange as well. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, any bright colours really I like.
Yeah.
Sally, tell us a bit more about who Sally is and how you got into style and branding.
Okay, so I'll give you a very shortened version of my life's history. So, like all of you, I think everybody at some stage in their life gets that low self-esteem, that lack of confidence, all those things that happen. Mine came from having a broken family as a child. I was a single parent, had a single parent. Life wasn't easy, but I was also dyslexic and I was kept down at school and I didn't read until I was 8. And they kept me down in the baby class. But what I could do was teach other children to read, but I couldn't do it myself. How ridiculous is that? Anyway, it set me on a path of helping and teaching. And that's what I've done. So my first career was as a nurse. I was a nurse and then a ward sister in an oncology unit, which is cancer nursing. And then I became a nurse specialist in the same cancer area. So I spent my life, from 24 to 30 something, working with cancer patients, working with dying patients, all kinds of things like that. So that gave me a great grounding in empathy, or just being able to care, look after and help. But also seeing the absolute, I don't know if anybody's ever read the things that dying people say to us, but it gave me an absolute benefit of hearing their wisdom of going, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd spent time with my family. I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. And that you can learn so much from it. It's such a privilege. So I had my nursing career, and during that time, I also learned that if you had a lady in who was feeling shit, mind my language, but if you put curlers in her hair, washed her hair, put makeup on, and dressed her in a pink nightie, then she was going to feel better than she did previously to that. So that was one of my lessons. Anyway, I then got married, had 3 children, moved all over the world, and moved to New York. And everybody in New York wears black. or white, depending on what season it is. And I used to walk in wearing colour, and everyone's going, "Why do you do that?" And I said, "Because it looks good on me. I look dreadful in black." So that's where my styling career started, just to take off as a hobby, really, and helping friends. But then as time went on, we came back to the UK. I was bringing up three girls. I got slightly bored. So I started my own business in styling. And I've helped style lots of women, mainly through wanting them to have body confidence. In that, I was working with patients or clients who had mastectomies and loss of hair, all this sort of thing. So it was all about confidence, and that carried on. Then when my youngest daughter went to university, I thought, actually, I want to do even more to help. I don't want to go back into nursing, much as I loved it. I don't want to enter back into there. I love styling. I think every woman I think every person in the world should have some idea about style, but I didn't want to go in there. I put the two together. While I was doing that, I gave myself a personal brand. And lo and behold, giving yourself a personal brand, you go, such a light bulb moment. That's what I want to help people do. That is a shortened version of my life. And it wasn't that short, was it? I do apologise.
No, but very interesting. And I think you're absolutely right. We all know if we've been a bit poorly and we've spent maybe a couple of days on the sofa and you haven't got dressed, you haven't put your makeup on, you haven't even had a shower. Let's face it, when you're feeling pretty rubbish and you're binging or box watching or you do. When you then finally go and have that shower, wash your hair, get dressed, you feel 10 times better. And I can only imagine with something like cancer where you might lose your hair, your eyebrows, having someone. I remember when I was on Brooklyn's radio and I was interviewing a lot of people, and I interviewed one lady who'd learned to do semi-permanent makeup, and she would offer it free to people who'd had chemotherapy and had lost their brows. So it is a really, really important thing.
It is.
Sally, what is a personal brand? Just for those who might think, what on earth does this mean?
What are we talking about? Well, when I came into personal brand, which was probably about 7 years ago now, I think it was something quite American. Or you had to be a superstar or a celebrity to have a personal brand. And it was usually made up to look good. But actually, personal brand has been around for hundreds and thousands of years. It is who we are, what we stand for, and how we help. And if you go back even to biblical times, I mean, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, but if you take the book of the Bible, Jesus, he had followers, he had a purpose, he had a why, he had stories, he had a message, he had followers, he had a book, and so it goes on. So personal brand has been around for a long, long time. But I think for us, especially, I was using the internet to do my job before COVID. But since COVID, people have gone, how do I show myself in a small screen? What do I do? So personal brand now is incredibly important. And I think even more what's happening in America is the personal brand, even people who are in careers and just want to know how to elevate themselves or get promotions are using a personal brand to be able to do that. So again, in a nutshell, but not that smaller shell, is what personal brand is.
And you're right. A really good analogy is Jesus, because today he'd be a massive social media influencer, wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
I'm sure we could all teach him a thing or two about dressing, but but hey ho, that was what it was like then, I guess.
Exactly. He had a distinctive style, and it was in the fashion of the time.
It was the fashion of the time. Yes, it certainly was. So we know what a personal brand is. What is work-life balance? We hear this term bandied around and have done for years, really. But what is a work-life balance?
I'd sort of like to say impossible to get equal. I mean, balance, when people think about balance, they think of scales, and that's equal, isn't it? And that's what a balance is. I think it is impossible to do that in life. And your scales are forever going to be doing this. Because, if you've got children and they've got, the school play and they're in ballet dancing, that's going to overtake your life, and fitting in work is going to be a smaller amount. But then if the children are, I don't know, away on camp or whatever, then obviously your work is going to go up. So a work-life balance isn't necessarily a day-to-day thing. It's being able to look back over the year and feel that you gave your priority to where you needed to give your priority at the right time. And so it is feeling good in yourself that you have been able to go to, I don't know, if you want to go to all your children's shows, whatever it is, but and also be able to do your one-to-ones for your business or your clients, whatever you need to do. It is a balance that isn't equal, but it is a balance that makes you feel content.
Yeah, yeah. So
And I think it's one that we work for.
yes, yeah. I think for me, my children are grown up, but still, I want to fit my work and what I need to do at home and fitting in time my husband wants to spend with me because he's just retired. Um,
Yeah, and I know the feeling.
and I still want to I do, yoga, mat work, strength classes. I do 5 or 6 classes a week, and I want to do those as well. So it's actually trying to fit work in. I want to cook healthy, home cooked meals all the time. That's really important to me, and is part of my brand really, because I'm all about, holistic living. So yeah, it's quite difficult, isn't it? So my next question was going to be: is there such a thing as a perfect work-life balance? You've sort of already answered that. But why is having one that works for you so important?
I think every part of your body needs that. I mean, our whole body is all about balance. Our hormones have to be balanced. Everything has to be balanced. And so, again, I think if your work-life balance is not in balance, you're going to have physical issues. You're going to have mental health issues. You're going to have burnout. You're going to have depression. All those things come because we are not aligned with what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where personal brand comes in, because it teaches you who you are. And one part of it is what your strengths are, what your talents are, and what your skills are. They're all very different things. But as a person, if we can learn to live and work in our talents, then we don't get that burnout. And we find that work-life balance is so much easier because our talents are the things that we do naturally without any effort. And we do them even if they weren't a job and we weren't being paid for them.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember who said, if you find something you love, you'll never work another day in your life. Who was it who said that? But anyway, yeah, it's very true, isn't it? If you find something that you just enjoy and you can make money from it, do it. Being happy is more important than most things. So you've already touched on some of the things that can happen if your life isn't in balance, if it's out of sync. So we know there's the burnout, there's the depression, there's the lack of sleep, there's all these horrible things. And of course, all of those can lead to much more serious conditions and
Absolutely.
illness. So yeah.
Yeah. I think there's so much research at the moment being done, especially about sleep, because sleep is one way our body recovers, because it can repair itself, but sleep is so elusive for many of us, and you and I are of a certain age, and so we know that you go through a period of time, don't you? Your children, you don't sleep very often, and then there's this, and then we get to a certain age and you stop sleeping again. But there is so much to say that sleep is something that we need to regenerate ourselves. So trying to spend our life trying to work out how we can sleep better is actually a big, big thing.
Yeah. And the way you sleep, again, it's affected by so many things. Your diet, the amount of exercise you're doing, the amount of water you're drinking, and when you're drinking that water during the day. There's so many different things that can affect that. And it's just everything is linked. People just don't realize. There's a great program just started on Netflix, 4 parts, called it's to do with diet, but Professor Tim Spector, who's brilliant, who does all the twin studies. They've now done a twin study where they're putting one twin on a vegan diet and one twin on an omnivore diet. But whereas in the past they've done these studies and put one on a healthy diet and one on an unhealthy, both these diets are healthy, but they want to see what happens to the health if they're on a vegan diet as opposed to an omnivore diet. So it's I've only watched one episode so far. But
Okay, so have you we're slightly deviating, but have you got into the Zoe?
I've done the Zoe.
So have I.
yes, which I found fascinating.
Amazing, fascinating, and amazing. Yes.
Understanding your own body, it's so key. And it's one of my expertise is that I healed my own gut health because I have an autoimmune condition that's caused by bad gut health. So I think this is within every one of us to do this ourselves, is to look after ourselves. But some people can't. They might need your help. They might need my help. But it is, if people are prepared to do the research and work on what they're finding, they can help to heal themselves.
And I think there you've hit on the big key. So for me, it is taking responsibility to learn about yourself. Personal brand is all about learning yourself. And I have 3 parts. One is philosophy. So that's learning about all your headspace, your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, your mindset, your mind blocks, your personality, all those things. The second part is physicality. And that is taking responsibility for not only what you look like and the colours that you use for you and your website, etc., but also your health, because that's part of how you come over. Because a personal brand is, like everything, is energy. It's how people see you. It's how they understand who you are. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got the energy. And you can't do it. And then the last part of my 3 PHs is phenomenology, which is actually the science on how you put those 2, philosophy and physicality, into whatever businesses or career you have. And that's how I work with someone. Again, it's all about balance. PHs we do for balance on your acid and alkaline test, don't we? So everything in life, I think, does come down to balance. It's getting those balances right. We don't have to eat healthy every single meal, every single mouthful. Again, it's about balance.
It's definitely about balance. And I think for lots of people, they probably need to do for 30 to, sort of 4 to 6 weeks, they might need to cut out all the inflammatory foods from their diet and introduce lots and lots of new good things. But you're right, once someone's back on an even keel, they don't need to eat healthily every day. They can have their moments off. I've had too many moments off lately, so
well, it has been Christmas.
It has been Christmas. So we have a big program starting next week on the 8th of January, which will be all about reducing inflammation in the body, improving gut health, which effectively, as you know, will help people sleep better, have clearer skin, get that glow back, get that energy, feel good, not get that slump in the middle of the afternoon. It's so important that you wake up every day feeling great and knowing that you can cope with whatever life throws at you.
And then you've got your mojo back, and your mojo is your personal brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, how sometimes you see someone who advertises themselves as a health practitioner or as a personal trainer, and you look at them and you look at their energy and the way they look, and you think, well, I couldn't work with someone like that because they don't look the part. It's like having a financial advisor who's broke. You wouldn't go and take financial advice from them. So, I think we all need to know and understand how we should look for the business that we're running.
Absolutely, because I mean, you said earlier that I'm playing the part. I am what I'm saying on the tin. Because there's so many times in life, I don't know about you, but I've done a lot of networking, and I go and network with somebody, and they hand me a business card, and straight away there's a disparity, something that makes you go, because their business card looks nothing like them and nothing to do with the colours that they would wear or would suit them. And so this business card that I've been given, it's not truthful. That's how your body goes. You go, well, that's not right. And so that happens so many times. I mean, you go on a Zoom, how many times you see the picture of somebody come up first and then they arrive on live and you think, is that the same person? So it's those sort of things. It's having the consistency and the confidence that really helps, I think, in making you feel good, which helps you with that balance. Because if you don't feel good, you can't get anywhere.
No, no. And I have to say to anyone listening or watching the video, every time I've met Sally in networking events, she always looks gorgeous, always looks the part, always got beautiful colours on, and yeah, always looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Sally, when someone is employed, it might seem easier to establish that work-life balance because in lots of situations, not all, but in lots of situations, you don't take your work home with you.
Yeah.
But many people, and many people we meet, because we do so much networking, are entrepreneurs, and it's much more difficult. So how can we set boundaries that would help us to achieve a better balance?
I think actually it comes down with communication, as I was saying about that confidence, and you have to have clarity as well, because I love my C words, but you have to have clarity about who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, how can you explain that to other people? So it's the same in a career. If you don't, if you're in a job and you need to go and communicate to your line manager that you need to change your hours or do this or shift things around, if you don't absolutely understand what it is you need, how can you communicate that to somebody else for them to understand what you need so that they can help you get there? Exactly the same in business. You have to have done the deep work first before you can go to somebody else to say, this is what I am, this is who I do, that they can understand. Because if you haven't got clarity, there's no way anybody else is going to have clarity.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Really good point. When I was doing some research for our chat today, one study that I found showed that a poor work-life balance increases the risk of a stroke in people that work more than 55 hours a week. And I think we all know people who work more than 55 hours a week. And the same amount of work hours is also associated with a higher risk of anxiety and depression. And even when adjusting for fairly normal sleep patterns, another study found that working longer hours correlated with a decline in physical health generally. So I think what would be a good way to move forward, we've already said that, obviously finding that you're doing a business you love. So don't go in to be a personal trainer if you hate exercise. Don't be a financial advisor if you hate working with numbers. Find something you love, and that's going to go a long way. But can we give our listeners some more tips about how to have a good work-life balance?
I think a diary helps, a calendar, and to do what we call blocking out. So let's say that you decide Friday afternoon is for your shopping time or your beauty time or your whatever. Block it out in your calendar for the next year. Don't have meetings there, finish work. If you're picking up children, then arrange somebody else to pick them up on a Friday afternoon. So you get Friday afternoons free. So that's your time. It doesn't have to be Friday afternoons. It can be whenever you like. It can be a Wednesday morning. But block those things out now for the rest of the year. And so that every week you are going to have that happen, because all of us go, okay, well, on Thursday morning, I'm going to go for coffee with a friend, blah, blah, blah. And then something happens and that time just gets filled in. So I had a client and she's got children and she goes, I can't put, because she had a career, she said, I can't put in the diary that I'm spending time with my children. I said, why don't you just put that you've got a board meeting? I said, it doesn't matter what you call it. I think a board meeting with your children is phenomenal. Great idea. It will make your diary look good. If a secretary or anybody looks at it, it doesn't really matter. But you can think of your own words for it. It doesn't have to say, I'm going to spend the afternoon in the bath painting my toenails, etc., etc., etc. You can think of something else, but block those times out and assign it to yourself.
Yeah, really,
That's
really
a big tip.
part of planning, isn't it? Yeah.
Second big tip is find out what your talents are, your real talents that you've used and you love. And sometimes people don't know what they are because you assume that everybody can do it. So I can talk. I don't mind whether I'm talking to one person or whether I'm talking to a crowd of hundreds. It makes no difference to me in how I feel. Now, I thought everybody could do that. I grew up not thinking that was anything good, special, anything I should harness, anything I could monetize. Didn't think that at all. Whereas in actual fact, lots of people can't do that. And they get terrified and so I have a talent that way. So sometimes learning what your talent is can be enlightening and freeing and work wonders for your life work balance.
Yes, pick the things that you're really good at and
Yes.
make sure that your business, your work is featured around those. And if there's something you have to do that you're not very good at, then that's an area for you to try and develop to make it more comfortable.
Yes and no. So I would say people often end up working in their skills. So something they've learned, because people go, you are so good at doing spreadsheets. You're just so good at doing spreadsheets. And actually, you are good at them. You're really good. You're much better than anybody else. And you end up doing spreadsheets. That isn't your talent. Your talent is that you like minute detail, let's say. And so it may not be spreadsheets are really your thing because you're very good at them, but Jesus, do you find them boring? But minute detail on other things you love. So it's distinguishing which are skills and which are talents.
Okay.
And then if you have something you're not good at, which we all do, we all have things. I can't speak languages. I'm hopeless. I'm dyslexic, so I can't learn English terribly well. I'm trying to do Duolingo. Oh my goodness. But when you have a weakness, why would we spend hours and hours and hours trying to improve a weakness? What you need to do is go, okay, this is a weakness. Let me have a look at my block of strengths and talents and work out which one I can use to do whatever this thing is that I'm weak at. So I can't speak languages, but I'm very good at facial expressions. I'm very good at animating myself. I'm very good at describing physically what I want. So that's how I cope with being broad. Lots of smiling, lots of so so it's looking at it a different way. And I try and teach my clients, let's work out what your weaknesses are and how you can enhance your weaknesses or those weak spots with your talents and your strengths.
No, that's a really, really good idea. Really good idea. What else could people do to try and get more? I guess there's the whole thing about when you're hungry, taking a break to eat. It may not be lunchtime because a lot of entrepreneurs, especially women with young children, will be working around school hours and things. But taking time off when necessary, and certainly if they're hungry, taking time to sit for 20 minutes and eat lunch. Things like this are quite useful.
I think the biggest thing is listening to your gut. Okay, so you listen to your gut when it's hungry. You listen to your gut when it's full up. You listen to your gut when it's going no, or you're listening to your gut when it goes. But you have to learn how to listen to your gut all the time. For me, I know we've mentioned both of us like orange. Orange is all about creativity, but it's also to do with instinctiveness. And I think over the years, especially women, because we're given labels, we bring up children, we do this, we're good at that. I think we have to take back our instinct and to listen to our body because it knows. Our brain knows, our internal self knows, and our physical body knows what it wants, what it needs, how it wants to do it. But we have had that squished out of us.
Yeah.
And I think to get your work-life balance, you have to learn how to allow that to come back to the surface.
Yeah. And I guess something like mindfulness or meditation will help in that way, because you need to have quiet. You need to sort of go within to try and find those feelings, those messages, and tune into it. So yeah, no, that's a really good one as well. Really good one. Okay, well, there's lots of tips we could probably give people there, but I know that one of the things that you do is a soul plan reading. So do you want to tell us briefly what a soul plan reading is?
What a soul plan reading is? Well, as you all know, I work with personal brand. And so that's mind and body. And I've always felt that there was something missing. And we always say there's mind, body, and soul. But how do you find what your soul is? It's quite hard to do. Anyway, I became a certified soul plan reader, which is based in every old tradition, every old wisdom and religion as well. And basically what it is, you end up with two triangles, like the Star of David. So you've got a triangle pointing upwards and a triangle pointing downwards. The triangle pointing downward is about our earthly physical life from a child probably to about 30 to 40. And when we're 30 to 40, we start going, why am I here? What else is there anything else? We start to become a little bit more spiritual, which is where the triangle pointing upwards comes in. And each 3 points of these triangles are our challenges, our talents, and our goals. So you have earthly challenges, talents, and goals, and you have spiritual challenges, talents, and goals. And it's all based on numbers, but it's based on your name you were given on your birth certificate. And it is so enlightening, Jill. I know you've had one done. It is life-changing. It is enlightening, and it's amazing because what comes out is you and the reason what your challenges were, but why you have those challenges and what you can do about them. So very much as I do in personal brand, your soul plan gives you the overall worldly look at it, as if you're looking down from above, then you see the whole thing put together. It makes such a difference. And I do that for all my clients. When they're my clients, they have a soul plan reading done with being a client of mine. But I also do it as a standalone because lots of people just need to know these things as well.
Yeah.
So,
do you think that if someone wants to transition from a corporate role to some sort of business, do you think having a soul plan reading could help find the direction that would be good for them?
Absolutely, because I often find that people are going, should I do this? Let's say, should I teach or should I be writing? I can't work out which one I should be doing. And that's one career path, or that's one business part, and that's another one. And your soul plan reading gives you answers to those sort of things in your goals. Why are you here? What are you here to do? And that is amazing.
Yeah, no, I would think that would be very good, very, very good.
Yeah.
Sally, I know that you offer a free getting to know you call.
I do.
What can someone expect if they have one of those with you?
Well, I should get to know you. Hopefully you'll get to know me a bit more. I mean, obviously you've seen me on here. And what we do is we talk about where you want to go with life and what you're doing, where you are at the moment. And then from that, I very regularly offer people a free coaching hour with me just to see what their vision for the future is and to bring out that vision, because quite often people don't know. They don't know. And so when they've done that hour with me, then they do know. And we go from there.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, that's amazing. So I'm going to put a link for people to book that call with you in the show notes.
Lovely.
Plus all of your other links. You also have a quiz that people can take about branding, personal branding. We'll add the link to that. And yeah, there'll be lots of lovely links in there that people can click on to find out more about you, how they can contact you, and what you're offering. They can look at your website and find out all about you, Sally.
Jill, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and all your listeners. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you. And again, congratulations on 50 podcasts. Yay!
Oh, thank you.
And how nice that I'm number 50. That's even better.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Sally. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure. Hope to talk to you soon. Yes, take care. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's show. Check out all the links to the resources mentioned in today's episode and all my freebies in the show notes. See you next time.